Yo, what's up guys? Slow-Mo is back, hitting you with another video. And first off, let me apologize for not doing as many videos as I normally do. I know some of you have asked me some questions about that, and hey, look, nothing's wrong. I've just been really busy. I've been working on, it's been a combination of two things. I've been really busy, but also working on one big massive video for Road Company. But I did want to kind of touch on some things that happened last week that I thought were pretty important and pretty big, and wanted to get my thoughts out there on that. So the big topic that I want to talk about is Nvidia, the pricing of their Ampere line, and what that means for not just the PC gaming community, but the entire gaming community overall. So before we get started, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. I do drop about 3 or 4 videos a week, despite how things have been recently. But hey, if you like the content, check me out, man. If you like it, cool. But oh, and also thank you for all the subscribers that have subscribed recently. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoy the content. And now let's get into it. So Nvidia did a announcement last week, a live stream with the CEO Jensen, and he talked about their new Ampere line. They are releasing 3 new GPUs. They're going to be more they're releasing later on, but they haven't announced them yet. That's more of a business move to try to counter whatever their competitor AMD is doing in the graphics card industry. But the ones that they did announce had the entire gaming industry excited, and some people somewhat apprehensive, some fanboys upset. It is what it is. That's usually what happens. But here's why all gamers should be excited about this. So what they first showed was the 3080. And the 3080 is a $699 GPU that is reportedly twice as powerful, twice as fast as the RTX 2080. Now, for comparison's sake, for some of you who don't understand what any of this stuff means, a 2080 is what the Xbox Series X has been reportedly said to be on par with, although we don't know for certain because very few people have been able to play the Xbox Series X with next gen games and very sparingly current gen games. But all indications seem to show that the Series X is on par or close to anywhere between a 2070 Super and a 2080. This 3080 that Nvidia showed is Nvidia saying, I have to preface that with Nvidia saying, because we don't know for certain until we see reviews and third parties can get these cards and test them themselves, but Nvidia is saying it's twice as powerful as the 2080. So far so good. And for $700, that's a massive deal for high-end PC gamers. But this is where Nvidia's pricing makes everything better for all gamers. The other card they announced was the 3070. The 3070 is coming in at $499, and the 3070 Nvidia says is more powerful than the 2080 Ti. Now, some of you might be like, well, Slow-Mo, look, I don't really understand this PC stuff, so can you break this down for me in layman's terms? Can you break this down for me as just a gamer who just plays games and just don't really know what the TIs, the 2080s, the 3080s, that all these different numbers mean? Okay, the 2080 Ti was the most powerful card on the market for the past year and a half, well, ever since its release. What this means, and when it came out, it has been over $1,000 GPU. Many PC gamers, although they enjoy having more power generally than console gamers, what they really enjoy is the versatility, the flexibility, the ability to build their own rig to their what they find acceptable, the ability to play their games the way they want to play them. And most of them, the vast majority of them, find the 2080 Ti that Nvidia announced back then at $1,100, and most of the aftermarket versions were $1,300 on up, to be far too expensive, and so they skipped them. And what that does for the whole overall gaming community, for multi-plats, and multi-plats are on consoles, they're on your PlayStation, they're on your Xbox, and then they're also on your PC. When developers have to look at building a game, designing a game that has to be playable on all these different versions, on the Xbox side, they gotta make sure it's playable on the 2013 version of the Xbox. For PlayStation, you have to make sure that it's playable on the 2013 version of the PlayStation 4. But when it comes to PC, they also have to make sure it's playable on really old hardware, or making sure it's playable on the most common graphics card that PC gamers enjoy. And right now, that most common graphics card is a 1060, a GTX 1060, which is just slightly better than an Xbox One X. The 3070 is coming out later this month. It's going to be $499. The introduction of this card tanked the 2080 Ti's value. It went from being a $1,300 card to now being sold on eBay, because Nvidia has discontinued it, being sold on eBay used for $400. That's a $900 price difference. So even if a PC gamer says, I still find $500 too expensive, and even if they say, oh, well, my motherboard is too outdated, my CPU is too outdated for Ampere, they could just get the RTX Touring line that Nvidia released already for under $500 aftermarket. It's pushing gaming forward. It's phasing out the old stuff. You're gonna start seeing games on PC that the minimum spec says you gotta have an SSD. Even if it's a SATA SSD, it can't be a hard drive. Mechanical hard drives are too slow. They were getting phased out. The introduction of 4th generation SSDs for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series systems is lowering the prices of SSDs on PC market. What this means overall is that it's pushing gaming forward. The minimum requirements for PC games are going to be higher. Not a 3070, at least not anytime soon. But don't be surprised if you start seeing the minimum spec now is a 2060, which has ray tracing. Don't be surprised if that means that now developers are going to start introducing ray tracing in more games, because more people are adopting it, more people have it. It's in the consoles. And a 2060 is going to be dirt cheap, and people who want to upgrade can get a 2060, not have to change anything else in their build. If you want a 3070, Nvidia has said that you don't even need to change your motherboard. Going to PCIe 4.0 over 3.0 isn't really necessary. It's a very small difference. What you need to be more worried about is your CPU. And I'ma say, kind of going hand in hand with this, you may need to change your motherboard anyway, because if you need a new CPU, your motherboard is designed to work with the generation of CPU that you have. If you have to upgrade to a different generation of CPU, or maybe you can just upgrade to the better version within the same generation. I know I'm getting really deep in the weeds here. You may not have to change your motherboard, but you likely will probably have to anyway. And if you need to do that, then you might as well just go ahead and spurge. You get a 3080. I'm slow-mo stop. Okay, back to one point. Back to the point I'm making here. This is pushing gaming forward, where we're seeing so many great software additions. We're seeing DLSS, ray tracing, velocity architecture, Tempest engine. We're seeing Unreal Engine doing things that are just amazing. And Unreal is the most common game engine used by developers in gaming, mostly because for two things. Epic supports it extremely well. If you're a new developer, they will help you figure out how to use their engine, and they don't charge you licensing fees until the game hits a certain price. This is great for indie developers. This is why we're already seeing some really amazing looking games like Black Myth Wukong, like Lost Soul Aside, like Bright Memory Infinite, made by smaller studios and sometimes just one person, but look like AAA products. And you're going to see those advancements pushed forward further when Epic is designing Unreal Engine 5 to be forwards compatible, to be easily transitioned from current versions of Unreal 4 and 4.25 to Unreal Engine 5. This is pushing gaming forward. You're gonna start seeing minimum spec for PC games go higher. This is great, not just for multi-plats, but because Xbox does all their first-party games from Xbox Game Studios day and date with PC. This means that their games can be designed with more creativity. You're going to start seeing that as well for Sony PlayStation Studios first-party games, because even though they're not going day and date, they are eventually going to PC. So they need to design the game with PC in mind. Of course, make it so it's playable first on a PlayStation 5. But design-wise, they all need to be limited by mechanical hard drives and outdated GPUs. And so the reason why we as gamers win is because we're going to be getting the very best from these developers. These developers won't have to so often have very innovative and great ideas in pre-production that they can't wait to show us, that they have to cut in production because they find out the hardware isn't capable of making it happen. And of course, before anyone says in the comments, I know Nvidia's not doing this out of the kindness of their heart. The pricing of these GPUs are due to AMD's increased competition in the high-end GPU market. That's not saying AMD is going to outperform Ampere with their big Navi line that they're going to show us in the next month or two. No, more than likely it's not going to be on par with Ampere, but it will be close enough and more powerful than what's currently on the market, and at typically with AMD better pricing, that Nvidia had to lower their outrageous previous pricing in order to stay competitive. And that is what we should really always be happy to see. Competition in every industry always benefits the consumer more than anyone else. And that increased competition is going to be evident in the games that we start seeing in the next couple years. But that's all I gotta say. Let me know what you think about Nvidia's new hardware, where gaming is going, and what you expect to see from next generation games. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. Also, let me know some other topics you want to hear from me, other games you think I should take a look at and maybe do a focus on developers that you feel are worthy for my game developer showcase. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked the video, the dislike button if you didn't, it's all good, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. Peace.